folks, Kathy Williams-DeVries here after a bit of a hiatus from YouTube, and you're currently listening to my performance of the Reger Clarinet Sonata number 2, which I last performed in April of last year, though I have recorded it twice in November of the previous year, once at Albert Street Church and once at the Con. So what I wanted to do today is, having already recorded the second one a few times, in a few weeks' time I'm going to record the first and third to round out the series, because I'm not sure if anyone's done that on YouTube yet. But I wanted to provide a preliminary discussion on my thoughts about the sonatas. I mean, there's similarities to be seen in the sonatas, particularly the second and third, as they both start. Well, they're not fast. They're quite slow actually, but they're both in 6/4, and both sonatas have a second movement with a vivace section followed by a larghetto, followed by vivace. Well, actually no, in the second sonata it's just a larghetto after the vivace. No, it is, because you do a DC Alfino. Okay, so that both the second and third sonatas have a vivace followed by an adagio section which goes back into a vivace. And they all have sort of fairly lively last movements. In fact, I think both last movements in the second and third are in 6/4, and there's quite a few similarities there. The third one has an absolutely amazing adagio section for the third movement. I mean, I've got to say that these sonatas are some of the most amazing romantic clarinet music you can play, and I'd actually rate them above the Brahms in terms of emotional difficulty. I mean, they're not hugely difficult for the clarinet. There are a few little bits here and there. The main difficulty, and I'll just turn that off. You can find that on SoundCloud. You can find my the second sonata on SoundCloud. But these sonatas have an incredible amount of dynamic and expressive detail in them. I mean, you have triple pianos, you have triple fortes, you have meno espressivos and compassiones. They're just incredible. So let's go on a brief discussion of the sonatas. Now, I think that the first Reger sonata has quite a few things in common with the second of the Brahms sonata. There's a slight, in the first movement, there's a slight reference to the opening theme of the second Brahms sonata. So in the Brahms, whereas in the Reger, so I mean, it's a minor thing, and it can get quite tempestuous in parts. So even in the first line, you go from a piano dolce espressivo all the way up to a forte, back down in the next quarter note to a piano. Which I find incredibly challenging. And also you've got this. You know, it's just well, this isn't a very good read. It's just amazing. And it's a real challenge to the piano part. When I go further into the discussions about the Reger sonatas, when I take them to bets, we will look in depth at the piano part. It's very involved. Reger also wrote organ sonatas, which they're just incredible music. I love them immensely. But he has little themes that he keeps coming back to. And this is evident, especially in the third sonata. But which comes back. Which comes back. This is a really, really shitty read. But my playing isn't the issue in this video, it's the discussion about the pieces. And there's so much you can do in terms of tempo in this piece too. I mean, a lot of it's marked. They'll have like a più agitato, a molto agitato. It's just incredible, incredible music. Now the second movement of the first sonata also has references to Brahms in the second sonata, because as you recognise that the second sonata is in 3/4 time and has a sort of vivace three-quarter time time signature, and then you get a sostenuto, and then it goes back to the tempo primo. So that and while and it even has references to the third movement of the first sonata. So in terms of the tempo and the time signature, I'm inclined to say there are references to the second sonata, second movement. But also in terms of the notes that are written in the style, it's very much sorry, I was doing that by memory. Whereas in the Reger, there's some delightful bits with the piano. It's lovely. And then you've got this amazing sostenuto. It's amazing. It's just incredible. And then for the third movement, you've got a larghetto. Actually, in the third, I think there's only 3 movements actually in the third sonata, but. Sorry, in the second sonata, but there is a third movement in the third sonata, which is an adagio, and they're both absolutely incredible pieces of music. So that the first sonata, whereas in the third sonata, and this gives you so much scope, and it does get into an agitato, so and there's a più mosso assai in the third movement of the first sonata. Then we come to the third movements, and they're all quite similar. I mean, even the same time signatures, and almost similar motifs actually, between the first and third. So that in the first, you've got a prestissimo assai, whereas in the third movement of the third sonata, and the third movement of the second sonata isn't all that much difference, except it's in 6/8 rather than 6/4, and again it has a rather sorry, this is a very cold flat A, but you can see the I haven't played this in a while, but we'll go into this in more detail when we come to look at the works in depth. But let me play a little bit more of this second sonata. Let's see if I can. So here's the third movement. Sorry, this is a live performance, so people chat between movements. But this is the third movement. I'll just play you out the third movement of the second sonata, seeing I've already got a recording of it. And the dynamics in there are just incredible. Excuse the wrong notes from the piano, it's a very hard piano part. So there, you can see there's an incredible amount of detail, and I will try and capture more of that detail, because sometimes in recording it sort of equalises the sound, and you don't get the subtleties of variation that you might like. And also depends how far away the mic is and how much editing I had to do to edit out the sound of the audience and the passing traffic. But yeah, so that's my little intro. That's my little intro to the 3 Reger sonatas. So I'll leave it there. That's given you a little bit of a taster. As I've recorded the second sonata, I'm going to do a tutorial on that first. And then in a couple of weeks, when I record the first and third, I will also do tutorial videos on the first and third sonatas. So you'll have the set of 3. It's probably the first time anyone's done this on their YouTube channel. But as I said, this was just a preliminary discussion on the sonatas. I hope that with this introduction and also with the in-depth analyses of the sonatas, that it inspires you to play them, because they are absolutely incredible pieces of music that are so challenging emotionally, and also to get with the pianist. It's very hard with the pianist as well. But look out for the tutorial videos coming soon. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.